Hey everybody, Hunter Fisher, Trapper, Trader, Guide, Scout, and Interpreter, and just a country cook, Steve Hall, here in Nashville, Tennessee, along with pretty Miss Sheila running that camera. Hi, Sheila.
Hi.
Today we're going to make spicy tuna pockets. Now I got this recipe from Denny Nakaya. How you doing there, Denny? From Hawaii, who sent me this recipe online. Now it's not a Hawaiian recipe, but it is a recipe from a restaurant in Hawaii that he worked at that was a Greek restaurant that had some Italian influences in their recipes as well. And we got all those ingredients. But the mainstay of this entire recipe is tuna. Now I got to tell you a story. Years ago, when I was up in Minnesota, and I'm talking about years ago, I was like 18, 19 years old, running around with our bands. We played all them beer nightclubs up there. And every night, to save on motels, you'd always try to find somebody that let you crash at their house on their couch. Well, I got this gal to let me stay over at her place and crash on her couch till 3 o'clock in the morning. So when I woke up in the morning, she had already left and went to work. Well, I got to pilfering around in the refrigerator and looking up in the cupboard, and I found a can of tuna in the cupboard. And of course, I checked in the refrigerator, and there was some Miracle Whip, and I made me a tuna sandwich. And I'm sitting on the couch watching some program, half awake, eating this tuna sandwich, and I'm thinking, man, this is not very good and flaky, and it's kind of gritty, and I'm going to see what brand she buys, because I'm never going to buy that tuna. And I went in, dug around the garbage can, and I pulled it out, and it said Red Owl Tuna for cats. So I ate an entire tuna fish sandwich made out of, what is it, heads and hind ends. They grind everything up and put in cat food, but that's what it was. So I just went in and ate the rest of the sandwich because it was pretty good. But make sure that you get a good quality tuna, like Chicken of the Sea solid white. We're going to use 2 5-ounce cans to kick off this recipe, but I thought I had to tell you that story because as soon as I see a can of tuna, I make sure it doesn't say for cats on it when I buy it in the store. Come on over, let's get started on this recipe. All right, we got 2 5-ounce cans of Chicken of the Sea packed in water. You don't want the oil kind. Squeezed all the water out. So I ended up with 10 ounces of Chicken of the Sea tuna drained. Then I'm going to put in some capers. 2 tablespoons of capers. Remember, this is Denny's recipe out of Hawaii. Then I'm going to put in 10 little olives all sliced up. These are pimento stuffed olives. I sliced them and the little pimento stayed in there. How neat is that, huh? All right. Kind of fold some of this in a little bit. And we're going to put in a 1/4 cup of sweet onions. I use sweet Vidalias. Now you can use red onions if you want for this recipe. I think that would be something kind of unique. We're also going to put in the juice from half a lime. And I did zest some earlier. I didn't put it in here, but if you're going to zest it, make sure you don't cut down into the white part. Just take the green part because the white part is bitter. But we squeezed the juice from half a lime in there. Now here is kind of a modification, because we made this earlier, me and Sheila did, just to try it, and she thought it was a little spicy. Now in his recipe, I'm talking about Denny out of Hawaii there, he puts in a 1/4 cup of mayo and a 1/4 cup of that Sriracha sauce, but we're going to back the Sriracha sauce to 1/8 of a cup. So this has got 1/4 cup of mayo and 1/8 of a cup of Sriracha sauce, and I always put all the ingredients right below the video. We're going to dump that in there. And I mix it up in the bowl ahead of time because I don't want to smash the tuna anymore. I definitely don't want to get it to the tuna for cats consistency. We'll fold that in there. Then we're going to put in about, I think, 1/4 of a cup or 1/8 a cup. His says 1/4 a cup, but I'm going to back that down too. Cilantro, freshly chopped, about 1/8 of a cup. Now you can always modify this a little more if you want and add more, but we thought the cilantro was a little bit strong when it was at 1/4 of a cup, so we went to 1/8 of a cup, and boy, that smells good. And by the way, them capers, if you haven't used capers before, They're very unique. What do they taste like? They taste like little baby shrunken olives that are salty. And I'm only going to put about a half a teaspoon of pepper in there and no salt at all. But because of the olives and because of these little guys right here, they will be salty enough. So we don't want to oversalt the recipe. And here's where we tried it. It was really delicious, but we're going to put a little sweet to the heat. We're going to put in just about a tablespoon or so. Now this is where this is really optional, because this is really varying, going off to one side from his recipe of sweet pickled relish. I just think that would add a little sweet to the heat. And now it's time to stuff our little pitas over here. Take one of these pita breads. Sheila brought this back from the store. They had regular white and then they also had whole wheat. She loves whole wheat, so that's what we're all eating today. Because if Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Amen. And when you cut one of them little pita breads in half, it makes a sweet little pocket. Just perfect for stuffing with our spicy tuna mixture. And boy, that just looks so delicious in there. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me grab a plate because I want to do a little presentation for you. I'll be right back. Okay, I kind of overfilled these and then I smashed them up and raked all the excess out and put it on a little bed of lettuce here. What do you think, Sheila?
Looks really good.
Doesn't it look beautiful?
Yes.
Boy, I got to try one of these. Okay, now I may need to stop the video. Hold on. That is really good. Them olives in there. Them capers. Those onions. And it's not too spicy now that we backed it down to an 1/8. And I only did that, Denny, for Sheila. But wow. That is really outstanding. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. In fact, we hope you subscribe to our channel. Little Shotgun Red's face will pop up over here in a little bit. When it does, click on it. When it says subscribe, click on that little bell. That way you'll be notified. Let me see. That way you'll be notified every time we come out with a new recipe. Don't try to talk with one of those spicy tuna pockets in your mouth. Every time we come out with a new recipe, in fact, we'll put up another recipe over here or a list of them that you can watch. But is this the most delicious spicy tuna pocket from Hawaii? Sent in by Denny Nakaya? If it ain't, it ought to be. This is Steve Hall in Nashville, Tennessee, saying we'll see you next time right here on Cooking with Shotgun Red. Say goodnight, Sheila.
Good night, Sheila.
And by the way, we always put all the ingredients underneath the video, but if you do want to go to shotgunred.com and check out all our other stuff, you can do that too. But you don't have to do that to get the recipe, because it's right under the video. Got to take another bite of this. Thanks, Denny. Wow.